morning, everyone. You're here on an auspicious occasion.
Drum roll.
Yeah, drum roll, please. We are going live stream today. So we've got our belt and suspenders on too up here, and we've been trying to get it all coordinated. So welcome and excuse any confusion that might appear, but we're pretty excited about this because you're going to be able to watch it from home if you choose in real time. And we do have a lot of folks in our church who are not coming to church yet because they're still feeling very vulnerable. So they'll be able to join us in real time. And we also keep these on YouTube, our website, and our Facebook. So not only after we live stream, they stay online for, well, YouTube, they stay online forever so far. So anyway, we want to welcome you here, and let's go ahead and begin with a prayer. We do come together and we feel the energy in this room, the spirit in this room, the love that abides here. We're very grateful for this beautiful little church, for all those who attend, for all those who are new and with us today, and all those who could not be with us due to illness or travel. So we just ask that each one be blessed and know that at all times, in all places, in all ways, we are loved and we are loved. We bless all churches, all synagogues, all temples, all mosques. We know that we are all one, created by the one Creator. And so with that in mind, we say thank you, God, that we know these things and that we live from these principles, and so it is. Amen. So we have on the screen the words to Shirley, the presence.
Here, I can read it like this.
No, Stin.
Oh, here we go.
He'll fix it for you.
Sunday, March 14th. The energy of divine life renews me. How do I have the focus to achieve my goals? How do I have the strength to carry on through challenging times? How do I have the aptitude to learn, grow, and change when I'm called upon to do new things? At the heart of everything I am called to do is the energy to do it. I am a divine being, and I call upon the power of God within me to channel my energy in deliberate ways. Divine energy is inexhaustible. Unlike my muscles, which can tire, and my mind, which can feel frazzled, the power of God within flows through me unimpeded. In prayer, I claim divine energy and imagine it flowing through me with the force of a mighty waterfall. I am grateful for my renewal. Even youths will faint and be weary, and the young will fall exhausted. But those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. Isaiah 30-31.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you very much.
So this morning is the fourth agreement. For those of you who are here for the first time, for the last few weeks we have been doing a series called The Fourth Agreement, Four Agreements, a book written by Don Miguel Ruiz. And so today is our fourth agreement, and it's always do your best. And to illustrate this, I want to tell you a story about a young ordained preacher who was asked to hold his first graveside service for someone with no family or friends. It was his first official assignment, so he eagerly agreed. Taking his duties very seriously, the preacher left early the next morning for the cemetery. However, he made several wrong turns and quickly got himself lost. When he finally arrived, he was more than an hour late. The hearse was nowhere to be seen, and there were only two workmen there, and they were eating lunch. Still, wanting to do his best, the preacher got out of his car, quickly threw on his vestments, and hurried to the grave. Looking into the pit, he saw that the vault lid was already in place. So with his sign, he took out his prayer book and read the burial service. After he left, one of the workmen said to the other, "You think we should have told him that he just blessed a septic tank?" But he did his best. He did his best. So we'll talk today about always doing your best. Our first three agreements on the previous Sundays were the first three chapters in that book. The first one being, be impeccable with your word. The second one being, don't take anything personally. And the third one, don't make assumptions. Miguel Ruiz, the author of the Four Agreements, says that the fourth agreement, always do your best, allows the other three to become deeply ingrained habits. He also says about today's topic that under any circumstances, do your best, no more, no less. And he also says your best is never going to be the same from moment to moment. Your best will sometimes be high quality, and other times it will not be as good. The reason for that is this is what keeps us coming from that highest place in our spiritual thoughts. Now, the thought that your best is never going to be the same struck a real tone with me. It struck home with me because this is a truth I grappled with all of 2020. My board will tell you that. We started 2020 with a vision. We had all marketing events planned and all kind of ideas for 2020, and I was really very excited about the possibilities for 2020 because Unity Church, this sanctuary, had only been open 4 months since Harvey in 2017. So we got through that 4 months of 2019, and we were all ready for 2020. I was really, really looking forward to making up for lost time of the things we had not been able to do. And I strongly, strongly believe in unity principles. And I know how these principles work in people's lives. It changes us all when we learn and apply these principles. So I had goals and ideas and plans in place, and all of a sudden, lockdown. No services, no marketing, no people. All those plans about telling Rockport about unity and what we teach were gone. Excuse me. I was coming here every week with Tony, who is our technical director and all around help every Sunday morning. And he and I were coming on Friday to talk to an empty room, to have a service to an empty room, and record it to put on YouTube. Excuse me. And I have to tell you, I'm not at my best speaking to an empty room. I don't do that very well. It was frustrating for me. And I was out of my element, truly. And I knew I wasn't doing my best. So working on this talk, this part 4 of this series and this talk, really rang true for me. I was not doing my best, and I was not even sure how to do my best. We're all subject to fluctuation or doing our best when changes happen, when we're tired, when we're ill, when we're grieving. However, he makes a point in the book to say, regardless of what is going on in your life, regardless of the quality, don't give up. Keep doing your best. Don't overdo and push yourself by trying too hard or expending too much energy. You go against your body at that point, and you will deplete yourself, and it will take longer to accomplish your goal. When you do less than your best, you subject yourself to frustrations and self-judgment and guilt and regrets. To illustrate his point about pushing yourself to do more than your best, there was a story in the book, and it was about a man who wanted to transcend his suffering. So he went to a Buddhist temple to find a Buddhist master. He went to the master and said, "If I meditate 4 hours a day, how long will it take me to transcend?" The master said, "Well, perhaps you'll transcend in about 10 years. Thinking he could do better than that, the man said, "Oh, master, if I meditate 8 hours a day, how long will it take me then?" The master looked at him and said, "If you meditate 8 hours a day, perhaps you'll transcend in 20 years. But why will it take me longer if I transcend if I meditate more?" The Buddhist master replied, "You're not here to sacrifice your joy or your life. You're here to live and be happy and to love. Do your best, and you will learn that no matter how long you meditate, you can be happy, alive, and love." Doing our best simply means taking the action. Take the action, and you will love whatever it is you do. it was that piece that I had been missing on my Fridays up here to talk to an empty room. I knew it wasn't my best, and I let it steal my joy. You see, my overachiever had kicked in, and I had all kind of judgments about the job I was doing, and I was just not having any fun with it. I was out of my element, and I was criticizing myself instead of just coming up here and doing my best and loving and having fun with what I was doing. When I got to this part in the book, I decided I'm going to keep that little book on my bedside stand and read a chapter again every night to remind myself not to break, or how to break the agreements I made so many years ago. Because one of my agreements I made many years ago was to be perfect at what I do. And I know that's not true. So I'm going to do my best to have fun with it. I want to remind myself to be productive because I love what I do. And to remember that loving what I do is what counts. You see, I love to teach these principles, and that should have been my only focus on those Friday afternoons, not whether I rocked an empty room or not. I was doing what I loved, and I should not have been concerned if I wasn't so proficient at it. I should have just done it because I loved it. But you see, we set a certain standard at all costs sometime. At least I do. But Don Miguel Ruiz, the author of this book, says, don't give your judge the opportunity to find you guilty. And he says that our judge tries to find us guilty according to our book of our law. So my judge was not letting me enjoy my ministry in the year 2020. I was focused on my book of the law, judging myself, not having much fun. Ruiz says there's many ways that we hurt ourselves when we forget that our job is to merely do what makes us happy. How many times in our lives have we actually been told, just do your job. Just do what makes you happy. Sometimes we forget to do that, I think. When we do our best, our judge doesn't get to blame us, find us guilty, or criticize. We get to say, we did our best at that moment with no regrets. Now in the book, Don Miguel Ruiz also says that's not an easy agreement to keep. But if you keep it, it will set you free. And I realized when I read that line in the book that I still had work to do, because it didn't feel in here like that line in the book was an agreement I was yet ready to make. The correct avenue would have been at that moment for me to have that moment of being up here on Fridays. That would have been the time for me to take action, to practice, to look honestly at my results, learn from my mistakes, and not have it matter whether I was talking to an empty room or not. In the book, Miguel Ruiz says, taking action is about living life full out, and inaction is the way we deny life. So I had to honestly look at myself and realize that my inaction of not practicing to do better at an empty room, my unwillingness to practice, was a way that I was denying life, and I was grieving life. I had had all those plans and ideas and a congregation that was growing here every Sunday. It was so exciting, and then suddenly no action. No manifestation of dreams and no results. So I was denying that in a way, and I was grieving it in a way. And reading that chapter 4 in that book had me see that clearly. My own resistance to life at that moment stood in the way of me doing my best, because I was focused on all the wrong things. I was focused on all the dreams that had been taken away, that had been put on hold, all the plans I was unable to manifest going forward. And I realized in that chapter, my focus was all wrong. My focus should have been on having fun, learning to love what was going on at that moment, and allowing that moment to bring me joy. And I don't know for you, for 2020, but maybe some of you had similar experiences. Perhaps some of you had your dreams dashed. Perhaps sometime or other in your life you've been in a job that you didn't like, and your focus was, I don't like this job. And so when we're there in our minds, we don't do our best. And I teach a whole class on loving what you do, so you can love yourself out of that place and go to where you really do want to do what you want to do. But 2020 was a very strange year for so many people. Many people had trips planned, jobs they love but don't have those jobs any longer. Some of you here in this church that I know had big family celebrations, like weddings and christenings that didn't get to happen. We even have had memorial services for loved ones that we've lost, that we have not been able to celebrate their life yet. It was a year that was difficult for us all in one way or another. We all had our lives put on hold in one way or another. So to surrender and to let it go, in spite of all the changes, big and small, as Ruiz suggested, that's a difficult agreement for us to keep. We have to practice. We have to have a strong will to focus on doing our best while letting go of what might have been. And if our best isn't our usual best, we have to be okay with that. In those moments, the correct focus always is that doing our best can bring about joy, can bring about remembering that God is life. God is life in action. And life is meant to be good. So we want to shift our focus to how can I do my best, even in circumstances that aren't my favorite. But to remember, moment to moment, that God is life, and that God is life in action. Life is meant to be good. To remember that, and to remember to say, thank you, God, for my life. That's to live the life that we've been given to the best of our abilities. That's what we're here to do. And In the book, Ruiz says, whatever life takes away from you, let it go. Live in the moment, not in the past, not in the future, but live in this moment. This requires surrender. Surrender to our human ego and embracing our spiritual nature. And to remember that in our spiritual nature, that's where our power lies. That's where we want to go and what we want to embrace. In our spiritual nature, we can remember to express our own divinity. And we express our divinity by being alive, by loving ourselves, by loving our life. Episcopal Bishop John Shelby Spong, I don't know if any of you are familiar with him, but he's an amazing man and his books are totally amazing. So I highly recommend you reading any book written by Bishop John Shelby Spong. But he says this, I heard him in person say this one time, and I will never ever forget it. He said, this is how we're to worship God. We're to worship God by living life full out with great gusto. We worship our Creator by laughing, loving, crying, singing, dancing, eating, drinking, and by realizing that the life we've been given must be celebrated. And that's how we worship God. And for me, out of this chapter, as I've shared with you, and we have to learn to remember that when we make an agreement to always do our best, those are the moments that we're truly communing with God. Those are the moments where you have no regrets, where we make no judgments, where we do not feel like victims. Those moments when we're doing our best and remembering to let go of old judgments and old agreements, that's when we experience happiness, freedom, and we realize that our entire way of living depends on that experience of living in the moment. Miguel Ruiz calls this the mastery of intent, the mastery of life, and the path to personal freedom. Let's move into a place of meditation. And so I'd invite you to lay things aside if you're comfortable with that, and close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. And just begin to feel the full spirit in the room, the full energy of this room. There's an energy of love that moves through when we pay attention, when we're alert. Our focus is right here, right now. So I'd invite you to take a few deep breaths. Just feel the energy. Feel the energy of your breath moving through your body as you breathe in and you breathe out. The original definition of the word spirit was breath, and breath was spirit. And so just feel that breath and know that it is spirit moving in and out. It is life. And that energy of life, that energy of spirit that moves through us at all times is that divine energy. That spirit in us that does transcend our ego and our humanness. It holds our power. It is that love, that life. It's always with us, it never leaves us. You just forget. You don't notice. So I'm going to invite you now, just in the silence of the moment, just to notice your breathing and feel your breath and visualize your breath as it moves in and through every cell of your being. Just be fully present to that in the silence for a moment. And as we feel that spirit moving through us, we remind ourselves it's always there, it's always with us. It is our power. It is our strength. It is our wisdom. And that divine energy that moves through us is inexhaustible. It is the very life. And so we know that each and every moment of the day, 24 hours a day, that which we call spirit or God or creator or whatever you choose to call it, is with you, moving through you, giving you life, imparting wisdom, giving you that energy and that impetus to always do your best, no matter what. And so as we move out into this day, this week, let us remember that energy, that love, that life is always there. It never leaves us. It's there, moment to moment. And we are blessed. And so it is. Amen. Thank you, Lynn. Yeah, beautiful. I want to acknowledge all the workers here this morning, including Lynn. Thank you, sweetheart. Your music is always awesome. Thank you, Tony, for always being here to make sure we we get the technical parts of this done. So thank you, dear. And Barbara in the back for being our greeter, and Dave for doing the daily word. And I have a special guest that I do want to recognize. Stephen, please stand up, honey. A lot of you know Stephen. Stephen is going to become a minister. He's in ministerial school now. Stephen has chosen to choose our church as his church. So we're very grateful. He is also, and he came to us and he said, can I make you a project for my ministerial studies? And I said yes, and so he's our driver to do the live streaming and bring us into the 21st century. So Stephen, we're happy you're here, honey. Thank you for all the work that you do. Thank you. I also want to acknowledge we have several people here this morning for the first time. And if you're comfortable doing it, I would love for you just to stand and tell us your name and let us honor that you're here. So I know we have guests of Lynn and Tony, so do you mind standing up and just telling us who you are?
Okay, and this is our second time.
Okay. That's right, I remember now, yeah. I thought you looked familiar this morning, so welcome. And we have some folks from the Woodlands. Remember when Jerry Rogers comes? Well, these folks are from Jerry Rogers' church. So tell us your name, sir, lady.
Carolyn Bernie Schwartz.
We're so happy you're here with us this morning. And we have a couple over here we'd like to acknowledge.
Lisa and Paul Luna, I've been here a couple of times, and then my husband and I are here today together.
So we're delighted you're with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And Ray, your son?
Pete Nelson, my dad, Ray, through the pump.
We're so glad you're with us. Thank you for being here. All right. So the bookstore will be open after the service, and let's see what other announcements might we have. Yes, ma'am, Darlene.
Just want to announce that this afternoon at 4 o'clock, I'll be holding a crystal bowl singing bowl meditation, and that'll start at 4 o'clock here.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. I've forgotten that, but yeah, she does the singing bowls, and they're absolutely beautiful. So 4 o'clock this afternoon, if you want to come by and do a meditation using the singing bowls, we would love to have you join us. And Darlene has a meditation during the week too. So
Tuesdays at 9.
Tuesdays at 9. Okay.
Tuesdays at 10.
10.
10. I was gonna say.
Early.
And we're glad you were all here since it was daylight savings time. Yeah, it was about what, Stephen, last night about 10 o'clock, Stephen and I were working. It was like, I heard somebody on TV say, tomorrow's daylight savings time. It was like, I am really glad I had the TV on because I had no idea. So glad you were all here this morning. We did have a song, didn't we?
Well, I thought you forgot.
I probably did forget it earlier on. So the words will be on the screen, and the song is "This Is My Father's World."
Okay. Let's see. All nature sings and round me praise the
protection. Like to remind you that we are not taking up a collection because we're still following all the CDC regulations about not touching things, but we do have a love offering basket on the back table as you leave, and if you are so moved, we would love to have you put something in that love offering basket. So all right, let's do our peace song. I'm sorry, our prayer for protection. Wake up. Wake up, everyone. Prayer for protection.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us.
Wherever we are, God is,
and all is well.
Have a beautiful week. Have a beautiful day. We'd love to see you back here at 4 for the singing bowls. We won't burn them to death.